All right, guys, welcome back to the MVM Show. I'm back here with Michael, and hope you guys enjoyed that last one, talking about truth and just stuff like that and reading the Bible. But we're going to talk about today, and I'm basically going to ask Michael this question and let him answer it. And I'm sure I'll give my feedback too, but my dad and I did a couple episodes talking about the attack on masculinity and what is real masculinity. I don't even remember. That was in the mid 100s or mid 200s or something like that in the episode, low 200s. I can't remember what episode that was, but I feel like they're really good, and a lot of people had a lot of good feedback to say about it. But we want to kind of go over that again with a few different people, and I wanted to ask Michael that. And if it's the same things as the other people say or what we've said in the past, that's fine. It's just, I think in the world that we live in today, and what I re-listened to those with my dad, and he said something. I'm like, man, if that's ever been such a valid point of the insanity of what this system of this world is trying to do to masculinity, is so contrary to what all these women were trying to do in the 60s and 70s with women's rights.
Yeah.
Now, we are so much more against women's rights now than ever.
Oh, yeah.
Because look at all the trans people getting the men that are trans are getting into the women's sports. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
Those women in the 60s, but now they're too scared to speak up, too scared to say anything because you just don't know what's going to come back on you and how things are going to get put against you. But anyways, so I just wanted to bring that up again because that was a little nugget in the ones with my dad. I'm like, man, that's such a valid point.
Yeah.
It kind of is the reason for all this, right? Because if they want to say it's just us being against them or not having love or having hate, hate speech, all this stuff, it's like, no, actually, women fought to have that separation and have equal rights. And now they don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. But so anyways, let's go back to work. To me, where all that starts is being passive and men. And I've been there, I've done it, and I still am going to fight that. I fight it, right? But Michael, what is it to you? What is it to be a real man?
So to me, I would say this kind of goes really off of what we kind of went over the last podcast was talking about truth. My goal as a man, and I'm just thinking about where I'm at right now, as a man, a father, a husband, the leader of my home. It all goes back to the Bible, is making sure that I'm living in the truth, that I'm leading and guiding my family, and I'm making sure that I'm giving them the truth and making sure that they're following in the right ways. And we've read in the Bible like we're, the prophet Eli and his sons, right? And it's like he knew that they were doing wickedly, and
he knew it, dude.
and he didn't do anything about it,
right?
And there's so many men in the Bible that were like that. And you think, like, how does one get like that? Like, they were the prophet, right? They were the priest, right? So, and
can I jump in something there on that? I caught on that. So, Hophni and Phinehas were Eli's sons, and he was a man of God. But his kids, those two boys, were doing stuff in the temple that were bad, right?
Yeah,
they're wicked. And he knew it, and God was dealing with him about it. And he knew they were telling him, servants were coming and telling him they're doing these things. And I know it had to shame him, but he didn't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
So fast forward a little ways, because God's judgment then is a whole lot different than it is now, right? It was more in the moment. Now it's going to be on Judgment Day.
Oh, yeah.
Or, on this earth in different ways. But back then it was like, boom,
it was instant.
It was instant, yeah. But what I just wanted to jump in saying what you said right there about his kids is, when they came and told him the news that his sons, when they took the ark, and his sons were dead.
Yeah. He wept over the ark. And
dude,
was the worst thing.
I said that. He didn't say nothing about his boys being dead, slain.
Yep.
And I told Sarah, I believe why he didn't is because he probably already thought it should have happened a long time ago. Like, he probably thought God was going to judge him way before he ever did.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't even a surprise to him. The moment that shocked him is when he heard the ark was removed from the house of God. Yeah. That's when he fell over in his chair backwards and died.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that kind of like, it's kind of sad? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Your fatherly role is no longer there. Like, I mean, that's part of being a man is like, I need to guide my children to the Lord.
mm-hmm.
And that was one of my desires too. It's my desire is I want my kids, and my kids are still young, but like, I want them to have an experience with God at a young age. And I know they can. But what can I do to get them in that point to where they can have an experience?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's not just like you send them into the woods and just let them live it, like survive, right? You don't do that spiritually. They need guidance, and nobody sends their kids into the woods. Like,
say good luck.
You train your kids to survive, right? So, like, we need to train our children in the truth in God's word, and on what to believe, and why we believe it.
Yeah.
Why we believe God's word. So. That's to me. That's what being a man is. I mean, and if you're not, I mean, if you took being a husband and a father out of that, just being a man is, it still goes back to the Bible. Is like living the biblical truths, right? There's a role that I play as a man. I'm a man. I'm going to be masculine. Like you should be masculine. And once you start trying to play another role, like you start destroying masculinity there. And I think us too, when we shy away from being men, like we're kind of adding to that breakdown of society. And I think that's what's going to happen. Like masculinity was attacked, but then the men pull back away from it, right? And there can be an attack on something, on like masculinity. But if we fight against it, like you could still have men in this world. The ones that will resist and just, we talked a lot from Trump just coming up and says, instead fight, when something bad happens, you don't cave into that.
You don't run. Yeah. You don't.
Yeah. You fight against
standing for truth.
Standing for truth.
Yeah. You're standing for it, because not saying anything is saying something.
Yeah.
Not standing for it is actually, you did make a choice. And I think a lot of times we've thought, well, I'm just not going to say nothing. And really we did by our actions, by not doing anything.
That was a German.
Yes. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said that.
Not to speak is to speak, not to act is to act.
And really where he pulled that from is in the Old Testament, because what happened is, and my mind's going blank, we're not there yet in our Bible reading, but just from past times and the readings I've done, is where it was Elijah, right? Yes. And he was up doing the sacrifice, and they were putting all the water on it with the prophets of Baal. And basically what happened is he said, I'm going to be speaking a little bit out of context, not context, but I'm not quoting it exactly. Okay. Yeah. But basically he was like saying, if you don't speak, you're speaking. Like if you don't say something, he challenged them, and they chose not to do anything. And he said, you made your decision.
Yeah.
And that's always stuck with me so hard. It's like, man, God help me to stand for truth. And I know we're using the Bible as a reference because that's the truth. So I want to reference that. But just people listening, it's like, truth is not just a right way or wrong way. It is the way. It is the only way.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, how do you know what truth is? Well, again, going back to the Bible is the truth, right? And there's something in us, our conscience too, is like God puts that in us.
There are things that are true.
Whether you're saved or not, whether you're a Christian or not, whether you believe like this, the right and wrong, like what's right and wrong, like that ain't right.
Yeah.
That's, people shouldn't kill someone else. How do we know that?
And that's where you can get into like left field if you're like, oh, that's my truth. Well, your truth could be that you think killing's okay.
Yeah.
Or killing a certain race or gender or whatever is okay. But that's where your truth or somebody else's truth is dangerous. Mm-hmm. There is no my truth. Like there is the truth. Because my truth is flawed, right? It's whatever I think is right. Well, there's only one of you. So I don't know how true that is, but it's something that's made up. Yeah, and that's what we have. What we have today is, well, this is me, or we have the you do you. Well, you do you leads you in some bad roads.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do you, but I guess what Joshua said is, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord.
Yeah.
You have to. Every good thing, the things that are biblical, the things that are true, that God has established. He's established male and female. All of these things, marriage, just raising your kids, these things, all these things. There's going to be a fight that the devil's going to put up against these things. If you're married, the devil's going to fight against your marriage, and there's going to be things where you're going to have to fight and not pull back and be passive.
Yes.
And accept responsibilities for things and own up to things. And
well, dude, that's the hardest thing for us to do.
Yeah,
is accepting responsibility. I mean, there's a lot of hard things for us as men to do, and what it means to be a real man. It's like we did that. Do you remember what that was called that we did all together, the men? Do you remember like the name of that not program, but
it was kind of like a program, but it's like biblical manhood kind of thing.
Yeah, and it had some books to fill out and some videos to watch. I know it changed me and helped me a lot, and I feel like it did the same for other people. But one of the deals was, and we can just go through them rough. I don't have the book here with me, but since you already said accept responsibility, that is so hard sometimes because as men we want to blame our wives. Well, if you wouldn't have did this, I wouldn't have did that. Just like Adam did. All the way in the beginning, Adam blamed Eve right out the gate.
Yeah.
And said, "Oh, if you wouldn't have gave this woman to me, this would never even happen." And then she blamed the serpent, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just men that deny responsibility. It's women too, like we all do as humans. But like men, what is masculinity? What is a real man? It's someone that accepts responsibility. And it's like I want to get better and better and better at that. Like when something goes down, when something happens, you know what? I probably didn't do my part.
Yeah.
I probably and look at it and try to see.
Yeah.
Check my heart and check my where am I at right now with my relationship with God? Where am I at right now with my relationship with my wife?
Yeah.
And maybe if she's not doing some things that I think she should, what am I doing?
Yeah. What is he doing, Sarah?
Yeah, tell me. Do you want to jump in on this?
We should bring her in on this.
I should. Do you want to tell us what a real man is? What is a real man? What'd she say?
What'd you say?
She said someone who loves the Lord.
Loves the Lord.
Yeah.
I feel like we could get more information out of her about you, though.
100%. She'll jump on. I'll plug it in right now.
Yeah.
I ain't scared. No, I should be probably. But no, I mean, I'm trying to think, because I'm pretty fine with being transparent and open, but like I'm trying to think of a scenario like in my life where I had to accept responsibility. Because like, to me, like getting up to work in the morning, I don't think about that. That's not a...
Yeah, that's something you've done like ever since you started working.
Yeah, like I don't have to think, I got to work tomorrow and provide for my family. It's not, and I think majority of men don't think that way. No. I know women, like at least Sarah has, be like, oh, I feel so bad for him. Like, don't feel bad for me. Yeah, I don't even...
It's almost like in me, like I'm going to get up and work.
It's natural.
I'm going to go to work. Like,
yes.
And I actually love what I do. So that's one of the good things. So it's like, and as men, we will find what we love to do and we'll do it, right? Yeah. I don't care if it pays $100 an hour or $30 an hour or whatever it is. You find what you love to do and you do it and you support your family.
Yeah. I mean, that's part
some
of people do struggle with that.
Yeah, that could be a thing. So that
could be a thing for somebody, you know? That could be like hard for them to just be consistent and stable. And we're not saying we're better than anybody in that area, but maybe that part of us just seems natural. And I think for a lot of men it is. I just think it is because it's in us, right? But like accepting responsibility, like just not blaming other people for things.
Just owning up to things. We're not perfect. I've made plenty of mistakes. And one of the things too is what I've done plenty of times is, and Tara might say, like my wife might say, you take forever to apologize or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I've tried to be better about that. It's like, I'm sorry, I popped off or something like that, or I just I approached something wrong or something like that, or whatever. My attitude was in the wrong place or something. Yeah. Maybe I said something I shouldn't have said. And I've apologized to my girls plenty of times.
Oh yeah,
because I think it's good to, if you make a mistake, you cannot be perfect in their eyes. I mean, they might
think for a while you are, but then they realize as they get older, oh, Dad ain't perfect. You know?
Yeah, like they need to know, like, hey, we make mistakes, but we'll ask for forgiveness. And I've asked for my daughters plenty of forgiveness. You know, sorry, I got so upset with you. You know, whatever it is. You know, I'm just worried about X, Y, or Z, or whatever it was. You know, I've apologized to my kids.
And you know what you're doing when you do that? You're actually teaching your kids how to do that.
Yeah. That's the big
what's
thing.
amazing
it's
about
like,
it.
Like, I need to be the example,
Mm-hmm.
right? I need to be the Christ in my home. I'm not going to be Christ, but I need to be that example to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and I was going to get into this too, is like, we all come from different backgrounds.
Yes.
You know,
and it affects us different ways.
We're all so different. And they talk about that in those meetings, is like, we're all carrying around luggage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's in that luggage, it could be really heavy. It could be something that's painful. It could be something that's joyful or happy, or something that you look good upon, you know, and it's something that's in your past. And there's no man out there that's a self-made man. We think, oh, he's a self-made man. No. He was made up by the experiences in his life as a child or something like that. He could have been abandoned, and he's still not self-made.
Mm-hmm.
People could have made him into the man that he is because of the good or bad that somebody's done to him.
Right.
Those that raised him or failed to raise him.
Right.
And you're listening to this. You're coming from a different place than I'm coming from. Me and Titus don't come from we come from different backgrounds. We're not the same. So we all have different things that we've came from and came out of, and had to come out of, and, you know, unpack that. And it talks about unpacking that baggage and seeing, okay, what do I need to fix? Like,
why am I like this? Why do I react like this?
Yeah.
Why does this bother me? And deeper things, right? Like, why do maybe I get super anxious when my spouse is upset with me, or I get really nervous, and I get insecure about that. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
I told Sarah, it almost makes me want to be more compassionate on other people when I see, like, stuff they do. Like, why do they do that? Or why do they react like that?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, look at me. They think the same thing about me. Why do I act like that? And I have to dig through my life, through my childhood, through those experiences, like you said, in life. And you're like, and honestly, I don't know if you've done this. I'm sure you have. You're like, that's why I act like, that's why that bothers me.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah.
Isn't it trippy?
It's just different things. Yeah. And it all comes out like one way or another. And like, you have to address it. And I think of these things as like it's like a check engine like that pops up, right? And you got to pop the hood, and then you got to start diagnosing what's wrong, right? What's the problem? And you start troubleshooting.
And it's not always easy to find.
No, it's
or figure out. And I do believe for 100%, the Lord reveals that stuff to us and can show us that.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying we can't figure some stuff out. I'm like, well, that happened to me and I was 10. That's why I'm like this. But but that goes back to accepting responsibility, is it doesn't give us the right to live under that shadow the rest of our lives and not be better men about it.
Yeah.
You know? I could say, well, they did this to me, so you're going to live under that for the rest of your life instead of fix it and change it for the better?
Then that situation or that person still controls you.
Yes.
In a way.
Yes.
You know, you still allow that person to have control over you, whether it's like, I'm not going to go on that person. Like, they have control over you. Because if you see them over there, like, you will not approach them. You will not, you know, go near them or anything like that. Like, you have to stay away.
Yeah.
Because of whatever hurt.
And they're controlling you without even knowing they're controlling you.
Yeah.
Like you said. The other one, too, and they accept responsibility might come up a little bit more throughout the rest of this one. But to me, the biggest one that always had a huge impact in my life, and it's still, Michael, I still struggle with this personally. And it makes me mad sometimes in myself, especially raising kids and being a father. I've noticed I feel like I struggle with that more than with, like, my relationship with my wife, is rejecting passivity, because you can be present and not be present. And I can't think of how many times I've done that, because I kind of am a deep thinker person. And when I get in that zone of thinking, whether it's about bills, life, retirement, what I'm doing tomorrow, what I'm doing tonight, whatever it is, the girls can be talking to me. I don't hear a word they're saying.
Yeah.
And I am embarrassed and ashamed of all the times, who knows, thousands of words they have spoken to me, maybe, that they didn't have my full attention.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be passive in that area, man.
Yeah. And they're not even, like, number one on the list. Like, each day is new, right? We have a new day every morning to start fresh. And so many times, like, I'm the same way, like, rejecting passivity, and that's just not, like, pulling back as a man, but being the leader, like, moving forward.
Yes.
And guiding your family, or just, if you're single, you know, just I don't know, I guess moving forward like a man should, and not caving into things that you shouldn't be doing. But for me, though, like, almost every day, like one of my girls says, "How late are you working, Dad?" And I'm thinking like of bills or just things like I need to pay off and how much overtime I need to do this week to get this certain amount in my paycheck. And the to-do list of things on my list of I need to work out today. I need to do all this. I need all X, Y, or Z. And all my daughters want is just a little more of my time. So they were just what time are you getting off? And I'll be like, I don't know, or, they'll be like, oh, it's just like, it tears them up. Or I say I have to work later today. And I can see the disappointment.
Yeah.
So it's like, they just want a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, Dad, jump in the pool with us. They just want a little bit of my time.
So simple.
Yeah.
But so hard for us sometimes as men.
So little.
I told Sarah, you don't have to do. Actually, this is what's really shamed me is when I've done like exactly what you're saying. And the girl's response is the same. They're acting the same way. And finally, I'm like, I got to do something. Like, I need to be better at this. And we'll just go like to the fruit barn or something and the big old slides and we'll get something inside sweet. And then to me, that is nothing. Like, I feel like almost embarrassed that like that's so minimal. Because sometimes I think I have to do these big things, right?
Right, yeah.
And you do that. And that night they'll go home telling me how much fun that was. We got to do that again. Dad, I love you. And I'm thinking, that is so simple to please them.
Yeah.
And why am I not doing?
Yeah.
I told her it doesn't take nothing big. To please them.
You can, like I said, what you're doing there. I mean,
but it's so simple to be passive about it and just they're not going to enjoy that. They're going to think that's dumb and lame. And then I do that and I'm like, I need to reject that passive just attitude. Like, it's not going to matter. They ain't going to care. Yeah, that's so stupid.
And and my mindset, I'm the same as you. It's like I'm thinking like I need to do a big trip, a big plan.
Yes.
Like we did this road trip out of state, went to like Yellowstone, this whole thing. It's like, and I feel like it has to be on that level of thing for them to be like a memorable thing. And it's these little moments of jumping in the pool at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night.
Something different,
just
something weird.
Or just riding our bikes to the store and grabbing Slurpees or something like that. Just stuff like that is just so simple. And that's what they'll remember you as, right? Somebody who was like that. So I guess it's different. I don't have boys. You don't have boys. Yeah. We're girl dads. So it's probably a little bit different. We're not guiding any men.
And I think it's a little more harder because we don't know. We could probably, and this is so not true, but in my mind, I'm thinking, man, what can I do with the girls? That the girls, like, you're trying to think in a different way, right? Yeah. Guys would be like, hey, let's go skip rocks or let's go throw a fishing pole. But the funny thing is the girls will be just as happy doing that same stuff too.
Yeah.
You just got to like get out of the realization, like, they'll have fun and they're going to enjoy it.
Right.
It don't have to be this, I don't know, let's go play with dolls or something, but
yeah,
I don't know. And then on the rejecting passivity thing too, I had another thought there. I was wanting to go a totally different way. I brought the kids up first, but being passive can go back to standing for the truth too. You could just be like, I'm just not going to say nothing. And it's like, I'm not saying you should blow a top and fight and go in all this stuff, but man, when you fight war, you sure can't do that. You can't be passive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like in football, when you are going to hit somebody, what do they tell you the most? You've got to commit. If you go into it timidly, you're going to get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like the same way when it comes to that stuff is you got to fully commit and go in with everything or you just end up getting hurt,
Yeah.
But, man, I was wanting to bring something else about passivity and my mind's going blank. I don't know if you got anything else. That's going to drive me nuts. Everybody knows I do this on here. I knew I should have wrote it down when I was thinking of it, but I feel bad typing stuff when you're talking, but because there's a whole lot of ways you can look at passivity in different avenues of life. We kind of already talked about working and being, not being passive. And the system that we're in now is just wants to basically give people stuff. People don't hardly want to work anymore,
Yeah.
It's just a passive attitude. It's just you know what? Some will take care of me. Someone will pay the bills. Some, they won't turn my electricity off. It's like, man, what a terrible state to live in. You can't feel good about yourself.
Yeah, you can't
living in that. You
can't be a victim either. Like you can't have the victim mentality.
Yeah,
like you gotta you just gotta be. You're fighting, right? It's every day is a fight. Whether you're fighting against yourself, or against something else that's kind of putting you down, I guess, or something. I don't know. But it's just, being a man is just, I don't know. It's
a lot.
You really need the Lord's help, really. I mean, and there's things that are out there that's like, we think like you need to do this to be a man, or at least there used to be. I don't know what it is. In 2024, what's the mindset of being a man now? I don't even know if they can even define it now or whatever, because it's so ruined.
Well,
now.
They can't define what a woman is. I know that much.
Yeah,
a scientist can't even do that.
And being a man, I don't know, is making sure the woman feels like she's loved or something like that, or the best one or something. I don't know. It's just, what's the mindset of what the world says?
Right.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like
I think, a hard worker is a lot. Most people think that. Like, if you're asking them what that is in general, I think people would just be like, oh, works hard, takes care of his family. And it is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
I just was trying to dig in a little deeper in these topics. Like, there's a lot more to it, not to make it sound overwhelming, because I sure don't have it figured out, but I just want to stay on my toes about that stuff and be like, okay, these are the things. These seem like little things, like you talked about our daughters and doing those little things for them. That is part of being a man, right?
Yeah.
Being honest in business and doing the right thing, that's part of being a man, Everybody wants to cheat, lie, and steal to get ahead. I mean, from the very top of our system, the government, that's exactly what they do. That's all they do.
Yeah.
For the most part, and it's like, man, and look at the mess we're in, our country,
Yeah.
But
like I said, stand up for what's right too, and just at times, like I've had uncomfortable conversations with my mom and dad just about different things, just that I didn't want to have with them, just because of stances that I've taken with my family, and you can either agree or disagree or something like that. And I didn't say it like hurtfully, but it's just you have to make a stand, and if you know what is right. And you don't stand for it, then like your family will suffer. Like if you're going to cave into something, whatever situation that is. And like I said, we all go through different things. But there's going to be a fight that's going to come along that's going to try to tear your family down, and how you're going to approach that time, whether it's your marriage or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Like you've got to be willing to fight for it. But I mean, I guess just not turning down from that. Kind of drawing a blank here now.
Yeah, we can end it here. I don't want to try to drag it out, but I think that was a really good conversation. I have never thought about passivity, but I just can't think of it right now, so I'm not going to try to push through it. But anyways, thanks for coming on, dude, and sharing that with us in those 2 episodes, and being up here and striving to be better always. And I don't know what else to say about that.
I'd like to hear some of the other guys too. I think you said you're going to have some other guys that are in camp, and everybody that we hang around with and have hunted with and just rub shoulders with are here.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to get some episodes. But I'm kind of curious to see what they would say about being a man and stuff.
Yeah.
So
because maybe some of them haven't done what we did, so we have a good basis. But in a way, they're probably going to say the same thing, just not using those terminology because they haven't heard it, but they know, right? Yeah. But I do agree with you. That's kind of why I'm wanting to do a lot of other people too, because a lot of these, these guys I respect. So I'm like, well, what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
So anyways, all right, man. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for everybody listening, and we'll see you guys on the next one.